Pathia Games has quickly become one of my favorite developers. Their life sims offer a unique blend of gameplay ideas and character interactions, so naturally I had to try their school management sim, Let's School, to see what unique elements it would bring to the table. The premise of Let's School is simple enough. Players are put into the shoes of the nameless headmaster in charge of a declining or new school. This job requires them to encourage their students in their studies and ensure that the staff are all well equipped to handle the fragile minds of the future generations. A story does somewhat exist in career mode, but it primarily serves as a tutorial focusing on teaching players how to manage their school. This involves navigating menus, building rooms, and training staff. Players will not exactly control their headmaster. Instead, they will create schedules the school will automatically follow. Each year, you can take between 1 to 3 weeks depending on the speed chosen in the options when starting a new game, and each student that enrolls in your school will have their own stats that need to be trained by your staff via a schedule. These stats will determine whether or not they will pass the class. Whether students fail or pass will affect your school rating, and the game even has checks in place to see how well they did. After all, there is a difference between passing and just getting by. Each year, players will create a new class for their first years and develop new courses to keep up with their curriculum. Students and faculty will make specific requests to improve the school throughout classes. These can range from enhancing the classroom's cooling, creating a student council, or adding a break room so teachers can relax when they're not teaching. Completing these tasks will increase your school's reputation, which affects several things, not the least of which is how well your students will be attending it. When I say you have complete freedom of what you can do at your school, I mean it. Heck, if you want to make your school a prison, a pyramid, or maybe even make students feel like they're in Antarctica, you can do all of that, which means Let's School isn't afraid to put the player in a losing situation, mainly if actions cause for it. As an example, my first playthrough of the game ended terribly. I had put myself into a losing situation by letting the tutorial choose for me. This ultimately created a domino effect, where my teachers were unprepared for the second-year students and my research team was so stressed out that they refused to work, effectively preventing progress. I was pretty stunned that I mismanaged my school so poorly that restarting was my only option to pull myself out of a hole that I had dug. I could have probably taken a loss for that run and tried to recover by firing people, but my headmaster had already been declining. This first failure feels almost intentional by design. Right then I realized just how Let's School urges you to try again, but now armed with the knowledge you need to create an effective school. You'll easily realize just how training your staff regularly and what you should prioritize are things you'll only learn quickly from failures. Even during my second playthrough, I also ran into some roadblocks, but I persisted, adapted, and overcame. The game has a very heavy push and pull on players, allowing them to fail and reload a save or start from the beginning, which makes Let's School fun compared to other management style sims. The penalties for messing up aren't very high, but the fact that one failure can lead to unexpected trouble caused a situation where I was confident enough to try to make a mistake and then learn from it. Even as my school caught on fire, I dealt with the situation the second time it happened. While that incident dealt a blow to my in-game finances, it allowed me to learn how to deal with it. To some, reloading a save file might be frustrating, but in the case of Let's School, it had never occurred to me that the game was to blame, and that everything that happened in the simulation was probably a result of my own actions, since there's no hand-holding once you get into the weeds. Still, there's a couple of frustrating facets about this game. The first is that the controller support for the game is non-existent. While I can see that the mouse and keyboard are the best control styles for a game like this, I do prefer to use a controller, and by extension, a Steam Deck, which has recently been my go-to device for PC gaming. I did find a bit of a workaround, but this option should be available from the start menu. Let's School shines in a standout title in the school management sim genre, offering an engaging blend of challenge and freedom that encourages players to experiment and learn from their experiences. Despite a couple missing features, the game captivates with its depth and flexibility, making it a compelling addition for any management sim fan. This is a game that's both fun and thought-provoking, a must-play for those who relish strategic planning and creative problem-solving. Noisy Pixel is giving Let's School an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Valles Pixel.